In the absolute vacuum, in the icy silence where the laws of physics appear in their primordial purity, at an unimaginable distance of billions of kilometers from here, something extraordinary happened. Imagine a tiny machine, a relic of our technological youth from the 70s, did what, from the perspective of its mission and our expectations, was simply unthinkable. It violated its primary directive. Voyager 1, our most distant messenger, humanity's loneliest artifact, retargeted its instruments. It stopped peering into the unknown galactic night ahead and turned around. It looked back at that tiny, pale blue light that we call home. The problem wasn't merely rooted in the colossal, almost unimaginable distance this faint signal had managed to traverse. The true crisis lay buried deep within the very essence of the data itself. Something fundamental in the information that Voyager 1 had just transmitted, a ghost of a message from the interstellar void, stood in stark, fundamental opposition to every single thing we, as a species, had ever dared to presume about the cosmos that existed beyond the comforting confines of our cozy solar bubble. The established metrics of deep space, the behavior of magnetic fields, the predictable oscillations of plasma waves, the constant, steady influx of cosmic radiation, all these indicators had, until this very moment, consistently painted a portrait of a single, entirely predictable and comprehensible reality. But now, that very reality was fracturing, its seams tearing apart under the weight of this new, impossible truth. And perhaps the most unsettling, most profoundly disturbing aspect of this entire chilling saga was the fact that this staggering, paradigm-shattering discovery hadn't been made by our newest, most powerful, multi-billion-dollar telescopes. Instead, it was delivered by a simple space probe whose total computational power is laughably inferior to that of an old digital wristwatch, a machine kept alive by a slowly decaying plutonium power source, which for decades has been steadily, inexorably, and patiently bleeding its life force into the cold vacuum. And yet, it was precisely this old soldier, this grizzled veteran of the cosmos, that had just whispered to us in its native language of raw data, revealing something for which we were completely and utterly unprepared. So, what terrifying truth did Voyager actually confirm? What profound secret, what dire message is carried by this soundless signal that feels increasingly less like a simple scientific measurement and more like a solemn cosmic warning? It all began with a cosmic coincidence of the rarest kind, a majestic display of celestial mechanics on a scale so grand it occurs only once in every 176 years. A perfect, once-in-a-lifetime alignment of the giant planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, presented NASA with a fleeting opportunity to launch a probe on a grand tour across the entire solar system, ingeniously using the immense gravity of these worlds as a cosmic slingshot. This elegant technique, famously known as a gravity assist maneuver, was the key to compressing a journey of many decades into a matter of mere years. Launched in the year 1977, Voyager 1 was never originally designed for a mission lifetime exceeding more than a few years. Its primary objective was straightforward: transmit invaluable data about the gas giants and then, its duty fulfilled, fall silent forever. But here we are, nearly half a century later, and this small, technologically obsolete craft relentlessly continues its epic journey, hurtling faster and farther than any other object ever dispatched by humanity into the cosmic abyss. From its incredible, breathtaking flybys of Saturn's icy, enigmatic moons to the awe-inspiring photographs of Jupiter's colossal, continent-sized storms, Voyager 1 has gifted us some of the most iconic and inspirational moments in the entire history of space exploration. Yet, none of its past triumphs, none of its glorious discoveries could have possibly prepared us for what it was about to encounter. Because now, it is no longer just a traveler passing through space. It is entering a region we were never, ever supposed to see. A place where the dominion of our sun finally ends, and something else, something entirely different, begins. Voyager didn't simply cross the heliopause, the final, invisible boundary of our solar system. It seemed to dissolve right into it. And what it uncovered on the other side of that threshold proved to be far, immeasurably stranger than even the most audacious theories our scientists had ever conceived. The transition into interstellar space was supposed to be a clear, unambiguous event, a sharp, dramatic drop in the intensity of the solar wind, a fundamental and immediate change in the direction of the surrounding magnetic fields, and a sudden, exponential spike in the concentration of galactic cosmic rays. But when Voyager 1 finally breached this invisible line in August of 2012, it discovered something utterly inexplicable. Yes, the density of charged particles surged precisely as predicted, but the magnetic field, it remained stubbornly, impossibly the same, retaining the exact orientation of our own sun. This simply should not have been possible. Upon exiting the heliosphere, the probe should have instantly registered a new magnetic vector, one dictated by the colossal forces of the entire galaxy, not by our own humble, insignificant star. Instead, the data suggested an experience akin to walking through a doorway, only to find the very same room waiting on the other side. And that is when the whispers began. Whispers that were not human. Eerie, low-frequency plasma waves, strange and rhythmic oscillations registered by its still-functioning instruments, provided undeniable evidence of strange pockets of energy, of emergent patterns, of a deep, resonant rhythm. These sounds emanating from the void were not the product of random, chaotic noise. They felt organized, perhaps even intentional. This led some scientists to propose the radical hypothesis that Voyager, in fact, had never truly left the heliosphere at all, that perhaps its boundary is vastly more complex, more chaotic, or even more intelligent than we could ever have possibly imagined. In the years that followed this bizarre crossing of the heliopause, Voyager 1's instruments began transmitting data streams to Earth that conformed to no known scientific profile. The ambient plasma hum surrounding the spacecraft started to fluctuate in a way that defied explanation. The cause wasn't nearby stars or the violent shock waves from distant supernovae. The source, it seemed, was mirroring Voyager's own signal. This was no longer just the static hiss of the interstellar medium. It was behaving like a form of cosmic acoustic feedback. Something out there, in the crushing darkness, was not only receiving our probe's faint transmission, but it was also responding. It was answering, not in the binary code or radio waves we would recognize, but in a far more fundamental language of frequency, resonance, and wave patterns. The implications of this discovery were staggering, sending shock waves through the scientific community. Could it be possible that the interstellar medium, a realm we had always dismissed as silent, empty, and inert, was in fact actively, consciously reacting to our presence, to the things we send into it? Is it the cosmos itself that is listening? Or is it something else? Something hidden within it? Some researchers cautiously labeled this phenomenon interstellar resonance, while others, in hushed tones, feared it was something far stranger and infinitely more terrifying. In any case, the Voyager mission team knew one thing for certain. This was no coincidence. This was something new, something inexplicable, and most alarmingly of all, it was growing stronger. And then, Voyager did something it had never done before. It went silent. For a period of nearly 2 weeks, its data transmission became erratic and unreliable. The signal didn't vanish. It wasn't cut off. It simply became intermittent, fragmented, as if the craft were being subjected to some powerful external interference, its signal being redirected. Or a thought that seemed utterly insane, as if it were being reprogrammed. Some engineers on the ground were quick to attribute the anomaly to a predictable glitch in its ancient 40-year-old software. But when the data stream finally resumed at full strength, the instruments had subtly but undeniably changed their focus. They had deviated, almost imperceptibly yet irrefutably, from their designated course, reorienting themselves to target something else entirely. Somewhere on its unending path, Voyager had turned around. Not in a physical sense, but in its perception. Its sensors had recalibrated, swiveling their attention to a region of space behind it, back in the direction of the solar system, and they began sending back readings that we can barely begin to interpret. Powerful, violent energy fluctuations and an anomalous, massive increase in particle density, as if something enormous and utterly invisible were stirring from a long slumber, right on our celestial doorstep. Voyager carries with it the famous golden record. It is a message from Earth, a cosmic handshake intended for any intelligent life form that might one day cross the spacecraft's path. It contains the music of Bach and Chuck Berry. It holds greetings in 55 human languages. It displays images of human life in all its complexity. It is a symbol of our hope, of our boundless curiosity, and of our faith in the great unknown. But what if that message is no longer drifting through an absolute indifferent void? What if someone, or something, has already found it? After Voyager's sensors reoriented themselves, NASA analysts began to notice the subtlest of changes in the electromagnetic noise enveloping the craft. Patterns began to emerge from the static. Some of these patterns bore an uncanny, chilling resemblance to the wave modulations encoded on that very same golden record. A rhythmic sequence here, a mirrored pulse there, as if our message had not just been received but had been recognized, processed, and was now being reflected, or perhaps even answered. NASA has never officially published what it believes is the cause of these anomalies. But in internal reports that have since leaked to the public, some scientists express a growing fear that our desperate, perhaps naive, attempt to make contact has awakened something that would have been far better left undisturbed. We were so eager to have someone find us, but we never stopped to consider if anyone wanted to be found. Shortly after this enigmatic turnaround, Voyager's cosmic dust detector, an instrument considered practically useless at such an immense distance from any star, began registering a completely unexpected series of impacts. It detected tiny particles, yes, but they were far too dense, far too frequent, and they were traveling at inconsistent, rapidly shifting velocities. This was not the aimlessly drifting dust of interstellar space. These particles appeared to be structured, directed, and grouped together in a kind of swarm. The craft's instruments revealed that these particles contained exotic isotopes, some of which are exceptionally rare, even within our own galaxy. The inescapable impression was that Voyager had stumbled into a pocket of space that was not entirely natural. This bizarre data spawned a multitude of theories, ranging from turbulence in dark matter fields to the remnants of an artificial debris field from some long-dead civilization. Others dared to speculate that Voyager had grazed the very edge of a dormant, colossal megastructure, something too vast to be perceived in its entirety, something ancient, ruined, or patiently waiting. And then, the truly inexplicable happened. After decades of flawless flight along its predicted trajectory, the spacecraft began to deviate from its course. This was not due to an engine malfunction, nor was it the gravitational influence of a known celestial body. It was being pushed or pulled by an invisible force. Despite being far beyond the gravitational reach of any known object, its trajectory had been altered so significantly that it sent alarms ringing through the Mission Control Center. Our most advanced computer simulations were unable to replicate this change without introducing some unknown external force into the calculations. A force that was electromagnetic, gravitational, or intentional. What could possibly possess enough power to alter the course of a 720-kilogram spacecraft in the middle of absolute nowhere? And more importantly, why? Voyager wasn't just turning its gaze. Something was actively drawing it in. Or perhaps it was being called back. And then, through the craft's last functioning plasma wave sensor, something bled through the static. A sharp, sudden drop in frequency, immediately followed by an exponential spike in amplitude. This was not noise. It was not interference. It was a signal with a profile that matched no known celestial phenomenon. It wasn't a pulsar. It wasn't a star. It was undefined, yet it possessed a distinct, soul-chilling repetition. A sequence of rises and falls, a rhythmic pulse that repeated again and again and again, and then abruptly stopped. Some likened this signal to the beat of a monstrous heart. Others compared it to seismic waves propagating through the fabric of space-time. But everyone agreed on one terrifying fact. It was originating from behind us, from the very region of space that Voyager had already traversed, from the exact direction in which it was now staring. Was this a signal? A beacon? Or was it the acoustic trail of something immense, moving slowly and deliberately through the darkness toward us? Whatever it was, Voyager 1, once a silent traveler, and now our primary, terrified witness, had just confirmed our deepest, most secret, primordial fears. We are not alone, and just maybe, we have already been noticed. Voyager was never intended to be a sentinel at the frontier. It was built to be a messenger, a time capsule, a simple gesture of pure curiosity cast out into the infinite. But now, almost 50 years later, that messenger has turned back. Not because we commanded it to, but because something out there, in the profound, silent dark, has captured its attention. We have grown accustomed to thinking of space as a silent, empty, and unconscious void. But the data Voyager has just sent back paints a completely different and utterly horrifying picture. It depicts a universe where boundaries do not behave as they should, where signals echo from no discernible source, where unseen forces can divert the course not just of our machines, but perhaps of our destiny. The truth is, we never really knew what Voyager would find out there in deep space. We never imagined it would survive for so long, and we certainly never, ever thought it would look back. Not with new photographs or astronomical coordinates, but with a stark warning, encoded in the distortions of its data, in the chilling anomalies, and in the profound, ringing silence that followed. What now? Now we wait. We listen. And just maybe, we prepare. Because if Voyager 1 has just confirmed the one thing we have always feared in the deepest recesses of our souls, then this story is far from over. It is only just beginning.